What is the condition called cortisol resistance in your body? The first one involves understanding a little bit about your hormonal system. You have a little gland in the brain called the pituitary. It sends a signal to downthrow the body. And one of the tissues it controls is the adrenal gland. You have two of them. Adrenal glands produce a lot of different hormones, but there is one that is called cortisol, and that is stress hormone. So the pituitary sends the signal down to the adrenal when there is recessive stress, and that pituitary hormone is called ACTH, which hints that the adrenal produce the cortisol. When cortisol is produced, that amount of cortisol it is produced reaches up to the pituitary and tells the pituitary to turn off to stop producing the circuit. So now ACTH can stop being inactivated. It's happened when you go through a period of stress called chronic stress, which could include loneliness, losses, or anything to raise your cortisol, like synthetic cortisol, like medication. What's going to happen next stage? It is your body going to develop this cortisol resistance, very similar to insulin resistance. This is a real condition. It is called glucocorticoids receptor resistance. What happened in this situation? Because of the excess communication coming down from the pituitary that could be too dangerous. In this situation, the receptor is going to shut down and inhibit the absorption of the cortisol into the cells. And this is a protective mechanism. What's going to happen to the next stage? You're going to have a deficiency of cortisol. So the communication is being sent, but it's not being received. Just as like talking to someone, but they are completely ignoring you. So what are you going to do? You're going to start shouting at them, right? Eventually you're going to talk louder, and that is exactly what the pituitary started doing. It starts to increase ACTH level of communication. Why? Because it's not getting through okay. Your pituitary thinks you have cortisol deficiency, but in reality is just resistance in the receptor. It's definitely a deficiency, but it's because of too much cortisol. This is the condition called cortisol resistance, or glucocorticoids receptor resistance. Very similar to insulin resistance.